I'm here with Albert Olynger. And Albert, you're from over here in Gas City, and I just imagine that there's very few people live in Gas City that one time or another haven't heard of Albert Olynger.
Well, that's good, and sometimes it's bad.
Well, you've lived there all your life.
Since I was 12 years old.
And live out there east of Gas City, and you've seen a lot of changes in Gas City over the years.
We moved there on March the 1st, 1931, the horse and wagon. The only thing we had was a Model T Ford, and drove the cattle.
We're standing here in front of not a Ford, but a 1951 Studebaker, and you brought it out here to show us, and this is a beautiful car. Albert, tell us a little bit about this car, and what is it about a Studebaker that you have a passion for?
Well, they had the first low style, and they had high compression motors for its time. It's a flathead L motor, 6-cylinder, and it's got an overdrive and a hill holder, which is modern.
Well, now this is a 51 Studebaker Starlight Coupe.
Yeah, glass all the way around. It was in a one-piece windshield. Studebaker was the first to come out with the one-piece windshield.
Now, did they make this car over a number of years?
This model, they made this model and another just like it in 50 and 51. Then they changed the style of them. It's the radiator, grill, and all that, yes.
Well, this particular car, there must have been a Studebaker in your past that got you interested in Studebakers, or?
Henry Leffler, my neighbor. And his first Studebaker, Reverend Jesse Craig had him, so all of them went to her church, drove Studebakers. So he was my neighbor.
So this car, how did you acquire this car? And
well, north on 10th Street at Farmington Road, I saw it sitting there, and we had one just like it in a Commander. And of course we had got rid of it, and I wanted it so bad, and he asked too much money for it, and one day a fellow says, "You let it get away." Well, he called up and he still had it, so we got it.
Excellent. So now you and Phyllis can go riding around a little bit.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, now this car, as it sits here, this is totally original. This is the way this car would have looked.
It's never been touched. It's don't have much rust.
So it's not been redone.
No, the guys that do their cars over says leave it as is, and that's the way I show it.
Well, it's beautiful, and you've certainly taken care of it. How long have you owned it now?
I think we got it in 78.
Okay, in 1978?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, you've brought it out to the fly-in cruise-in a number of times, and it's just a beautiful car. There's just not a lot of Studebakers around, and to see one, it's always really neat.
Well, that's right, and we show it in the Gas City Parade. And
Albert, you were telling me about the front end of this car, and how did you describe it?
Well, we nickname it as farmers. We call it a two-row corn picker. It looks like a corn picker in the front with the 3 points.
Well, that was a unique thing about the Studebaker.
It was.
Now, this car was built in South Bend, Indiana?
South Bend.
Uh-huh. Well, interesting enough, up here on was this original equipment, this sun visor up here?
That was an extra, but most of them got them on them because short guys like me, the sun got in your eyes.
But you could buy it as an option from Studebaker, from your dealer?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the car, you say, has never been touched, has about 70,000 miles, original miles on it, and I mean, there's just hardly a car more original than this old Studebaker around here.
Well, that's exactly right, and the color, the paint's never been touched. We just keep it shined up and keep it inside.
Well, a couple interesting things you were telling me. Tell me about the drive system, the transmission. It has what you called a what?
It's called the overdrive. You get up to about 35 miles an hour, you let upon the accelerator, and you hear a click, which is electric, goes into an overdrive gear.
So it's a manual transmission?
Yeah, 3-speed on the steering wheel.
And then you can kick in the electric overdrive in the third gear.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's on the column, the gear shift on the column.
Gear shifts on the column, yes.
So you can go right down the road at a 60 mile an hour. And
I was doing 60 coming over and he's tailgating me. Walking around.
The interior, all original.
It's original. I think it's called mohair. I'm not sure, but it had the back seat's got the original seat cover, and the front one got beat up pretty bad, so we took it off.
Anything that stands out? Any memories that you have?
When she was pregnant with the first boy, we drove to Minnesota, and it was hot. And my grandma Thurman had a sister lived up there, and that's what we went up there. It's pretty close to Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Well, now this Studebaker doesn't have air conditioning. It's got these little vents on the side.
You open them up, and it lets fresh air come through your heater. It's called a climatizer control.
So for air conditioning, you just go 60 mile an hour.
Go faster, yeah.
And so you drove that Studebaker with a pregnant wife all the way to Minnesota from Gas City.
That's exactly right.
And I bet she was quite a happy traveler.
Well, I didn't think much about it. It's our first one. We didn't know what was going to happen.
Well, the Studebaker gives you a good ride, right?
Exactly.
So the Studebaker, really, don't you think, Albert, was a car a little bit ahead of its time, really?
It was ahead of its time in style and mechanics. And it was designed by a Frenchman named Lowry. He made his design for Studebakers for years.
Well, were there actually Studebaker dealers? Dealers that just dealt with Studebakers?
We had one in Marion, had one in Hartford, and about every county seat had one.
Albert, we really appreciate you bringing this car out here to the Marion Airport and sharing it with us this evening. And we are all going to look forward to seeing you bring it out to the Flying Cruise-In.
Oh, I'll be here with my Denver cap on.
And you're going to have your date with you?
Well, I hope she does.
You hope she'll come? Okay, Albert.